I thought I'd just set up here outside in front of my house. I already parked my motorcycle. I'm getting ready to leave. Plus, some people, I get a lot of questions about it, so it's in the background a little bit there. Anybody that's curious. I had, I'll start with the first thought that leaps to mind is on a video a couple months back, I had a guy comment that I had a little bonus footage on my motorcycle in there, and he goes, "Oh well, Rob's only showing that because he's a bragger. He's flexing how big and rich and he is, and his channel's terrible, and don't watch my videos." What the heck? What did I do? Um, for the record, I definitely don't consider myself wealthy. Definitely not after the divorce. I was married 29 years. I got cleaned up good and thoroughly. So it is what it's fine. I'm not. You can see how upset I am about it. I mean, it's I fortunately I saved enough nickels. I'm okay. It's been better for me financially to be here, as I've said before, back home. Other than the fact that most of my friends are not, geez, maybe most. Most of my closest friends that were around my age are dead. And that is a very sad fact. And I lost some really, really, really good people, very unfortunately. There's a few still left, praise God. I've still got a few really awesome friends that are around my age that should be retiring, but they're not. They're not retiring. Their plan is to work forever. So, which I understand. Hang on, cappuccino a moment. Oh, that's so good. I These beans I bought at Scentcoff, which I recommend from time to time. It's maybe the most famous cafe in Korat. You could argue that. There's a couple, Brick 62. Uh, the craziest, I just was there the other day, is Cafe Tamada. Tamada means ordinary. Why would you name your shop Ordinary Coffee? That was one of the absolute best cappuccinos I've ever had in my life. I was like, oh my gosh. And they had really nice little cookies. I like a little cookie or something with that's my naughty stuff. And, wow, it's directly just down the street from Central Plaza, which is pronounced Centron. You cannot end a Thai word in an L sound. That's not in their language at all. Like, not at all. So, just so you know. Nobody has a ball, they have a bond. You play football. Anyways, well, this guy went off on this. And then once in a while, I'll get that comment. And you're going to get those comments too, is why I bring it up. You just want to just pay no attention to it. Just give it no share of mind, as my mentor Bob would say. And this video is going to be about overcoming trauma at 60. Which I was about to say, which for me was kind of cut and dried and kind of nice and convenient, honestly. It was just like spinal surgery, but that was like a specific thing I could focus on. I could get through that. You can physically heal from that. I mean, at this age, most of the time you don't. And the doctors all told me, odds were against me. But the two actual surgeons that did the work said, but in my case, fortunately, since I was just very physically active, we'll say, that I had fairly good odds, and I appear to be beating those odds, and I'm slowly coming out of it. But I'll share some of that as an example, using myself as an example, as I frequently do. But it's really going to be about you and overcoming trauma. So, but you can also get emotional trauma. And geez, that sounds like kind of a soft, marshmallow kind of thing to say, but what happens is it's kind of like a hater sort of thing, and I have a lot of experience with that, unfortunately. And for a long time, I didn't understand why, because I was just sort of an average guy. I'm just kind of an average, middle of the road guy. I was never really a big standout in any way or anything. Just sort of did my life, but I did make unusual, unconventional choices. And in being a private, independent inventor, which is I do not recommend. I mean, I love it. No regrets. It was great, but lots of stories. I got war stories. I could tell you. Oh my gosh, And I did a video on that. If you're ever curious, I did one on being an inventor. You can look it up by that title. It was late last year. But when you make any decision outside the norm, the bulk, overwhelming majority of the people in your life that are living the norm. That's why it's called the norm. Most people follow that. And so retiring in Thailand, to put a fine point on that, is not in that norm. You will immediately begin to get a reaction from everyone around you. And then the really good friends, the people who are grounded and their mama loved them enough when they were a kid and all that, they'll be fine with you and they'll be, hey man, good for you, bro. Do you, and go. I get it. The weather's nice. Lots of 12 months around out of the year, lots of nice ladies looking for a guy. Yeah, cool, man. Go enjoy. But that'll be a minority. That'll be a minority of it. Most people, I would pretty confidently say over half will just either fade away, stop talking to you, and some of that's natural because you don't have the same things in common anymore. When a guy retiring to Thailand, even once you've made that decision and you're of that mindset and they're of a mindset, they're gonna, like in Michigan, my home state, it's real common for a person to own a second home. We call them cottages up in the northern half of the state or in the thumb there. And they're thinking that, doing some, deer hunting is a big thing, outdoorsman stuff, fishing is a big thing. And they're going to do that. And you're going to go and have margaritas in Thailand. And then they're going to maybe statistically probably stop talking to you, which is unfortunate for you in a way, because you're going to be going through some trauma. just like I did. And I got the double dose because I got the divorce and I got the spinal surgery. I got the 2-4. But you can see how it's really hurt my feelings. It's so bad. Don't do it. No, do it. Definitely do it. If that's what you want to do, do it. Do you. That's my advice. This is so good. Sometimes I chuckle out loud to myself. I'm riding my bike somewhere or I'm sitting somewhere having a coffee and I'll just smile to myself. It's like, dang, this is going to go down as a decision I'm not going to regret. This is a nice one. Now through this, I did my typical Rob, very logical decision processes on everything. And I'm kind of a very analytical kind of a guy. Again, I'm a math guy and I'm not a super warm and fuzzy guy. So, sometimes I'm slow to decide or figure out or understand things, but if I keep my navigational equipment running, I can navigate generally to where I want to be or where I'll be happy. Not that I haven't made massive mistakes, as my goodness, I sure did. I'm 62 years old. I got lots of those. You do too. Let's get on the physical side, because I kind of want to focus on that more. Get their stuff out of the way. I really kind of want to focus on the physical trauma. And I'll tell you, I'm going to name this like surviving trauma at 60 or something. And what you're going to find is it's a really different game and a totally different playing field with different rules when you get around 60 and something physical happens to you or you have to go through something physical. It's really different. I want to tell you, things that you'll shake off in your 40s, even in your 50s. You'll go 50s, you can kind of mind over matter through it much more organically, a little bit of just good, hard, focused thinking, as long as you're doing some work to support that thinking. If you're laying on the couch all day eating potato chips and think you're Superman, I've got bad news for you. But if you're doing any kind of physical things to support that attitude, you're probably okay. In your 50s, you can really push through it. 60s, unless you've got a solid foundation of work behind you, you're not going to make it. If you've got a physical trauma of some kind, that will be the thing that then you take that ding, you take that hit. It can very, very likely take you down, and now you're down at that level and you're not coming back. I have a friend who is an extreme elite athlete, one of my mentors. I was just below elite competition. When I lifted and did my martial arts and stuff like that, I took it very seriously. I really loved that stuff, and I don't do it anymore. Now I'm just an old man. I really am. It's just the way it is. But I have a friend who was at that elite level, which is an entirely different animal. I mean, watch some of the UFC commentary on different levels of the practitioners of mixed martial arts fighting, and guys that are like the top pros, the low pros, and then the really serious amateurs. The difference at each one of those levels is 10 to 1, 10 to 1, 10 to 1. The top pro can take elite amateurs. He can take on 5 guys, no problem. I mean, there's just a giant difference. So I want to explain that. So my friend, who is this extreme athlete and a top world record holder in strength competitions and stuff, and he's not fat. Those guys are usually fat. This guy's looks like he did bodybuilding at the same time, which is almost impossible. Those two things aren't the same. Anyways, he fell a few months ago. He's still not recovered. He fell in his bathroom. He's my age roughly, and slipped in his bathroom, and he still hasn't recovered. And this is hurting me, because he's kind of been like my Superman. And I think he will recover, and I pray to God he does. But the fact that he just didn't shrug it off and went, well, you know, if I was a mere mortal, no, but his mortality is showing a tiny bit, maybe, I guess I could say. Or, man, this Grim Reaper doesn't miss anybody. None of us are sneaking by that guy. I want to tell you, if you've got difficult road ahead, if you know you have a difficult road ahead, things that you got to do, changes you got to make, they're going to be painful and whatnot, I would strongly encourage you to carry as little fat with you as you have to try to get a hold of your diet and control your body before you're in a box and in the dirt, so to say. Again, I got lucky. I had some health stuff rear its ugly head a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, and I had some rapid weight loss that was unintended, and I did nothing to earn. It just fell on me, along with the ton of bricks I got at the same time. But I decided, in the pits of hell and despair at that moment, I decided I was going to turn this giant dump truck load of lemons into some kind of lemonade. And I decided to run with the diet. I had been bodybuilding and strength training my whole life, but I always had a big old gut. I like food. I like spaghetti. I like, whatever, okay? And I drank beer, was a regular beer drinker. And I drank really heavy, highly caloric Belgian ales, which are really fattening. And kind of don't regret it. The beer was awesome, to be honest, but great memories. But I decided to give that all up. And now I'm just not a food guy. Now it's just, I use it for fuel. I don't think about food hardly at all during the day. I forget to eat meals regularly. That's a hard change to make. I'm not saying, hey, there you go, problem solved. I mean, that's a hard one to do. But I'm just saying you can do that. Man, I'm telling you, this is no flipping joke. You really want to. So if you can get the weight down, that will elevate your whole thing. Fat. This probably isn't scientifically how it works, but the net effect to a layperson such as myself is fat absorbs testosterone. When I lost the weight, my testosterone levels went naturally up. I was on replacement therapy anyways, prescribed by a doctor. I'm on the lowest dose I think anybody's ever been on, maybe ever. I'm on a crazy tiny dose. But I'm unwilling to give it up because I just don't, everything's working great. I don't want to touch anything. And the doctor said the same thing. But once I lost the weight, we cut my dose in half. And then after I moved here, we cut it another third. So I'm really way down from what I was taking a low dose to begin with. So you get the idea. So that was tailwind for me. That fat loss to me represented real, like chemically measurable tailwind for the natural robustness of how I feel and how my body's operating. And then as difficult as it was with 3 spinal surgeries and a bunch of other surgeries, none of which were fun. I can't do any more surgery. I am so done. I am so freaking done. And here's the problem. When I was 50 and I had I had my gallbladder removed, that was like nothing. And I got lucky because some people really suffer the rest of their life with that because the gallbladder has functions. It's kind of gross. I'm not going to explain it, but I wanted to test my body and see how I was doing after my gallbladder removal. So here's this, and I was like 51 or 52, I recall at the time. And I was still in gorilla mode. 53 was the strongest I ever was in my entire life. So I was right in like peak gorilla mode. I was fat, but I was strong as hell. And I was really robust, really feeling good. I was really feeling good. This is like the last time I really was like really feeling solid. Okay. And had the gallbladder removed and they said, well, digestion and all these things could be a problem from now on. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you, doc, but I don't really believe that's going to apply to me. So I went to Blimpie Burger and ordered a Quint, which is a 5-patty burger. Now, they're fairly small smash burger type patties, but they're not that small. A Quint is a big freaking burger. That's probably over a half a pound of beef. And it's greasy as hell. It's a Blimpie Burger. I mean, it lives up to its name. And I had like a order of fries and a root beer. They had a really good like craft root beer there. And it's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Strong recommend. And I was fine. I wolfed that thing down. Never had a problem. I said, you know what? I pronounced myself cured. And that was it. Today at 62, so say 11 years later, I probably wouldn't be laughing that off. That would be not the that'd be probably a rough surgery. And here's the problem. Any kind of major surgery or ding that you take, as I'll call it, it puts you in this hole. And at this age, man, climbing out, it's a steep climb. And my doctors have told me the things I've been through, most people don't make it out. So, and not that I'm bragging, I'm some great guy, but I was lucky because I did all that other athletic stuff before, even though I was fat. So I'm just saying, it's rough. You want to plan for this. So if you're 55 and you're thinking of retiring or you're coming up on it, I would get on. All the diet stuff on the internet, I wouldn't pay any attention to that crap. You got to do, like, in your head what you need. Like, to me, I used to have two, unusual people, in-laws, before, and they were always they were really, really, really overweight, I'll just say, to be nice. And they were always talking about dieting and all that. And the one lady described herself as a volume eater, that she was just eating like a pile of asparagus and tons of cucumbers and all these things. And I don't know. I mean, she was really, really, literally more than twice I am. So I don't know how great of an idea that was. For me, my point is, do what works for you. For me, I found that like, I like chocolate, and I want like at least every other day, if not every day, like a small Hershey bar or something, or a couple pieces of half a Hershey bar, something. I like a little taste of chocolate. At some point in the day, I'll be like, I just want some freaking chocolate, and I'll have it. And in my morning with my bespoke cappuccino, dang, that is so good. With my cappuccino, I have like a little couple. They call them Singapore cookies here, or I'll have like one donut, but I don't even eat a whole donut anymore. Now it's like I'll cut it in half, and I'll have half, and I'll have half like the other day, or if I'm just craving a snack later, I'll eat the other half of my one flipping donut in a day. Sue me. But I've been able to keep the weight down. I'm not really having any problem. It's just naturally, I've just reset myself to a $190. I was 225, and I went down to 178 or something, and that was unhealthy. And I lost, I say 50 pounds of fat, but I think it was like 45 pounds total, if I'm being super literal here. And clearly 10 or 15 pounds, that was lean, healthy tissue that I should not have lost, but you can't control these things when you're going through, let me check, major spinal surgery. So I have put a little bit of that back on. So I'm a buck, like 80, 188 or something like that, just under a $190. And I'm lean. I'm really lean. I wear 34 jeans, 32 jeans. I'm happy. I look in the mirror, and I'm like, okay, I'm 62. I'm not going to look like I did when I was in college, but I'm pretty happy. It's fine. Okay. My point is, do what works for you. And for me, a little taste of something sweet, a baked good in the morning with my coffee, and at some point, usually a tiny little taste of chocolate, and I'm happy. About twice a week, I sip maybe 1 ounce of bourbon. And it'll take me 40 minutes to sip that. I just enjoy the flavor. I'll just sip the tiniest little sip and keep that flavor on my palate. I enjoy the flavor. I really do. And with a cigar, and a cigar is no calories. So as long as I have only one cigar a week or whatever, I don't see a health issue there really. So that's what works for me. Great. For you, I would really ignore all that diet stuff on the internet, and I would just say, free your head of all the stuff. It's not what you're eating; it's what's eating you. Get the stress, the crap, everything, the haters, if you got an ex-wife that's maybe unpleasant or something, whatever it is, just get all that out of your head, and then just do you. And then you'll find that food isn't really that important. And then focus on some good hobbies. If you always wanted to, do whatever, do swimming. You were a big swimmer in high school, big stud swimmer, and on a swim team or something. That's like the best sport ever. Get access. You can find cheap access to a pool somewhere, and do that, man. Go swim your laps every morning, and then do whatever. That's awesome. Walking is a great thing. I've had my best weight management historically when I walk a lot, but that's your physical trauma side. I think if I would just take this very seriously, because think about it. Just write down like 20 people between age, say, 55 and 75. And then think about seriously how they look, how mobile they are, how healthy are they really. That's statistically average for your environment. That's potentially your future. And if you like that, hey, great. But if you look at that and you go, ugh, man, that's not a very rosy picture. If you're thinking, gee, if I had my choice, I'd like to do better than that. If that matters to you, then I would focus on it. The fact that many of my best friends had passed away already, and one really close one kind of recently, you know, that puts a real fine point on. A lot of us guys don't really get to retire. We kind of work and then die. You know, it's great for the Social Security system, I guess, but not so good for you. I see a very tiny number of people, even into their mid 70s, that are like, man, I'd take that deal. That guy still looks pretty good. He's pretty active. He's riding a big heavy motorcycle. He's lifting weights. He's going out to dinner with his lovely wife. Geez, at 75, wow, I'd do that. Versus, man, I just talked to a guy. I mentioned this before, but I just talked to a guy who was I had to like avoid not spitting my coffee out and going, what the hell? He talk about how young and vibrant and everything he was, and I'm looking at him like, yeah, for a guy in your 60s, you're doing okay, I guess. I mean, not great, but okay. He goes, I'm 48, and I'm like, what? What? I mean, he looks like, he looked like death's door. I'm like, that guy's got to change his habits. I mean, oh my God, you cannot do that. So maybe the next thing we should think about is being honest with yourself, which physically for me was always easy, because when you're trying to bodybuild and trying to strength train and all that, you unfortunately get an overwhelming mountain of data that's all generally pretty negative, that you have not yet met your goals, sir. So if you can, and you come out the other end of it, which I have. This has been a 5-year journey for me, and I am now out the other side. I'm on like month 6 maybe of being out the other side of it after 5 years of the pits of hell. I used to describe this because I had several points in my life where I said this was like crawling on my belly through broken glass across the desert looking for where my reward was. And when you're filing patents, and I was poor and I was one step away from losing my house, and I remember emptying out my bank account, and my first wife was, which she was not wrong. She was not happy that I did that, and I bought a used mixer, and I hired a guy that later turned out to be a drug addict. I didn't know this, to make a bunch of mold tables for me that I had designed based on a concept I'd had in my head that I'd never seen used successfully before. And she's like, "Are you really sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've thought this out very carefully." And it, praise God, it worked, and it worked. It worked really well, actually. We ended up making good money with that business. But now that I'm kind of mobile, this is the first 6-month period ever that I've been really kind of mobile again. I still have lots of problems I won't bore you with, but I can go and enjoy my life, and I'm going to ride my motorcycle to the city in a moment and do the world's worst shoulder day, but I'm going to do it, you dang it, and I'm going to love it. And so if you haven't been doing that kind of stuff before to set yourself up for being 60 and or retiring, and I recommend both, don't work too long. It's not good for you. It's really not. Most of us just work till we die. You can look it up. There have been studies done. There was one with the average Boeing retiree, and I want to say they lived 18 months or something past retirement. It was a terrible statistic. You can look that up and verify that for whatever that is for yourself. And then I mentioned this before, but I used to work with a guy, a big respected old man at a big desk in a huge corporate empire that he ran, Dick Marshall, and he ran this great big corporate group, and he was a respected guy in my industry I knew that guy for 20 years. And he told me one time that the average General Motors retiree lived 3 years past retirement, and I think that's true. My neighbor across the street built a forklift company up from nothing, hell of a guy, and he retired, bought his big lawnmower, kept his lawn cut, did the whole lawn thing, and which is kind of cool to watch him do that. And he was dead within, I think, a year and a half, something like that. He had a heart attack. I saw him one day, and he'd lost 80 pounds, which was nice for him. Would have been nice under normal circumstances, but it did not look good on him. He looked like death. I didn't recognize him. I didn't recognize my own neighbor across the street for 20 plus years. And then through the winter, he didn't make it. By spring, his widow said, yeah, he passed away. I'm like, and that's all around me. And my friends, more than half of them are gone, and I'm only 62. So I be careful. This whole surviving in your 60s. Here's my final point. I think what happens is most of us don't really survive this, being around 60 and moving past 60 very well. I mean, a lot of us actually don't survive at all, unfortunately. But even the ones that we live, we take such a hit, such a ding, as I'm kind of calling it, that we're just a shadow of what we used to be to a really detrimental level. Okay. I think if you want to glide through your 60s and laugh everything off like my Blimpie Burger story, and you want to do that in your 60s, I think you've got to focus and come up with a plan for you. And that plan involves getting some kind of flexibility, having joint flexibility, having some kind of strength, having some kind of cardiovascular fitness, and not being too fat. And then getting all the haters and the crap out of your head, because as you go to retire, you're going to get some number of people throwing venom at you because you dare to retire and go enjoy your life. I'll just about, unless you're the luckiest guy ever and you got all nice, kind, supportive, wonderful people around you, and I hope that you do, and I pray that you do. But other than the 4 guys that have that, the rest of us, you're going to deal with some amount of venom, and you're going to just put that all. You go, yeah, okay, I get it. It's got nothing to do with you. It's just some people can't handle somebody else having something that they don't. It's so weird, but it's just. I've seen that a lot in the last few years, and that's really surprised me. That has been one of my biggest surprises in human nature from being age 55 to 62, is noticing how many people are consumed with jealousy. That I never really thought about. I probably didn't take that into regard enough in the decisions I made as a younger man. But trauma at 60, I'd say watch out, be careful, and have a plan. And but if you do, 60, honestly, these days, you can do 60 is the new 40. You can actually kind of do that. Oh, I got to tell you one more story. I said this once before, but it's super relevant for you. This was like in the 1970s. I remember being 12 years old, and the house I lived in was for sale. And I was told there was an old man going to walk through the house today, so all the kids we all had to be quiet. And I'm like, okay. And then this guy comes through, and he's really fat. He looks like Wilfred Brimley. Like, he looked like the stereotypical 60-year-old man you think about from your youth, right? And he was really fat and kind of round shaped, and he had a cane, and he walked with like a little shuffle. He barely lifted his feet off the floor. I mean, he was his stride. He was taking steps like 4 inches long, maybe, just shuffled through the house, just feeble. And I'm, oh wow, 60-year-old man, and then great. And then in the 90s, I'm being told, oh, 60's the new 40. Hey, cool. Well, here I was at age 57 coming out of my second spinal surgery, and things weren't looking so hot. And old Rob, this whole 60 is the new 40. I didn't find that funny anymore. That wasn't funny one dang bit. And I remember that, and I remember thinking, geez, this really sucks, because I was kind of hoping to be the 60's the new 40 guy. And I thought, that's probably not going to happen for me. And I ended up having to have one more really, really big, more than twice as big as the last spinal surgery, way up my frickin' spine, 18 pieces of titanium. Not good, guys. Don't do that unless you have to. And if you do, see Dr. Wisharn in Bangkok. And my point is, I'm like, oh my God, now I'm really in the pits of hell. But it's been not quite 2 years yet since that surgery, and I am just starting to really recover. And I'm kind of like, okay, I got rules because I got all the titanium. I got like those animals from that movie. If you feed them after midnight, they turn into a monster and all that. That gremlins. I got rules now, and but if I follow the rules, I can kind of fake it and kind of live sort of like 60 is the new 40. I've kind of. As much as I am able, I guess my point is, I've kind of beaten that, and dang it, if I did, you can. All right, there you go. That was that. Sorry, last story. That was just, I wanted to make that point. Best of luck. I wish everybody to enjoy a nice retirement like I now am. It was a really long, painful, uphill, bumpy road with lots of people really not helping me, but I'm here, and it's awesome. I'm going to have a fantastic day. I really am. Take care. Here, since I mentioned the bike being behind me, there it is again. There's my little bag I use if I'm traveling and I'm going to make a video somewhere. That's like a little vlogger bag. It's just, I got all my camera and microphone stuff in there that I need or whatever. There's my cappuccino. Anyways, here's the bike. So yeah, it's just been great. It's been so much fun. A lot of guys my age, as I was hitting kind of late middle age and getting some disposable income to play with, I was watching all those really cool chopper shows on the Discovery Channel and everything, and I was having fun with all that, and I got it in my head I'd like to do that when I retired. And this is going to go down as yet another decision I am not going to regret. it's, to tell you this thing uplifts my mood every time I fire it up would be an understatement. It's just the craziest, best, most ridiculous, impractical way to get around the ding, and I love it. So as much as I love my motorcycle, I can't ride it too much in the rain. I mean, I do, and it's actually not that bad, but you get the idea. So, and it's a nice treat to be able to take people that are nice to me and help me all the time and invite them to go somewhere, because going somewhere is a big deal to a lot of people who don't have a lot of money, if you follow my logic. So anyways, it's not a showy car, not a flashy car, but it works for us. And then this is just a typical casual shot I snagged while I was in class with Crew Usani. You can see typical lesson up there on the screen. And here's a random shot of Kun Paw, Fawn's dad. He looked so cool, I had to just take a photo. And then this was a date night last week, Thursday night, I think it was. Great time. With Fawn, just me and Fawn. That's a photo I took from our table looking at a gorgeous sunset. Geez, I got to get a picture of that. And then here's a picture we took out in front of the house right before we left for dinner. Isn't she gorgeous? So we were having a very nice time. And then here's one more just standard cute little photo of Fawn. What a cute little thing. This is Rob. Video's over. I'm closing my gate. But if you've been liking or subscribing, or and praise God if you've been a member of the channel, I really appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that watches. You have a great day.